Although I will say, since I see I'm only at 17 minutes, I did not write it down. And that was to say that tonight is the final night of June that we will, or Friday, the last Friday in the month of June that we will broadcast. And the prior Fridays, I had done a World War II tribute, remembrance, to highlight the sacrifices made. And remember, I had started it on D-Day, the beginning of the month, and I did not prepare much in the way of actual notes, though I had done a little bit of study prior to attempt to prepare. But this was a couple days ago, so we'll see how good my memory is. I had learned of this speech very recently by the famed five-star General Douglas MacArthur. Of course, General MacArthur led the Pacific Theater during World War II. Many are not necessarily aware that he was more or less the regent or governor, whatever you would call that term, over Japan for the rebuilding of the war effort as well for a time. And then, of course, he was involved in Korea, where he was notoriously discharged by President Truman during that conflict. And that is a whole nother can of worms that I will not get into because I have some opinions on that from my background as a historian. But at the end of the war, during the surrender of Japan, General MacArthur gave a speech for that surrender that is known as the Armageddon speech. Whether he intended it to be or not, it is called that because of the way that he discussed the advancement of military technology and scientific advancement in warfare. And I'm summarizing the speech to say that he said in that speech that with all of the advancements in weaponry and the destruction that it caused, because remember, at that time it was fresh and vivid in everyone's mind as they had just seen the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that without the right moral framework, and Armageddon was next. That's why it's called the Armageddon speech. And he said that it was not just the moral, but the spiritual problems that needed to be addressed so that we did not destroy ourselves. And for all the talk of war and rumors of war, I believe that General MacArthur was far more insightful and indeed far more prophetic than any of us would have ever thought that time in 1945. He did, as governor of Japan, favor or endorse, if you will, Christian missionary activity in Japan because of the way that the gospel touches and transforms the human heart for what is true, right, and good, what is holy, and what is pure. That, as that chapter in 1 Corinthians goes, faith, hope, and love are the first things he gave us, and the greatest of those is love. And in some sense, General MacArthur must have seen Christianity's direct influence on that to transform Japan from the imperial destructive power it had become to the civilized democracy that it is now. And if the gospel can do that in the nations, it can do that on an individual level as well. That is a huge break from the news. But it is always a reminder that because of him, there is truly good news. So with that, that is the Moriah Nightly News for this Friday evening and for this week. May God bless you and congratulations to all of our graduates. And good night.